Did you see that a 75-year-old Cuban man died at the Crohn's ICE detention facility in Florida, making this the 13th death this year? And if the trend continues, this might be the deadliest year on record. The person who died was 75-year-old Isidro Perez, making this the 5th person to die in an ICE facility in Florida, and half of the deaths this year have been at a Florida facility. Isidro was first detained by ICE on June 5th during a law enforcement action in Key Largo. ICE did put out a statement on what happened to Isidro, but let's remember, ICE continues to lie to us. But according to them, they picked him up because he was inadmissible under the Immigration and Nationality Act, and that he came into the US in the 60s and was given parole on April 1st, 1966. And that twice in the 80s, Isidro was convicted of possession of a controlled substance. This is the only thing that ICE is saying is on his record, something that happened 40 years ago and that he already served his time for. And if you look at the year he came in, that was during Fidel Castro's time, meaning he was probably trying to escape communism, something you think this government would be sympathetic to. Now, by ICE's own account, when they did the intake of Isidro on June 6, they diagnosed him with several medical conditions. So from the beginning, they knew they had a 75-year-old man who was sick. And then on June 17th, he was taken to the hospital due to an unstable angina. So he was having heart issues, but the hospital discharged him on June 25th. But even after he was discharged, Isidro kept complaining of chest pains. And then on June 26 at 7 p.m., Miami-Dade Rescue arrived at Crohn's Detention Center and used an EKG and CPR, which Isidro responded to revival methods. But when he was transferred to Kendall, Florida Hospital, he was pronounced deceased at 8:42 p.m. ICE also went on to say that they reported the death to the Cuban consulate. No word that they contacted the family, which is actually one of their sneaky tactics. And we know this because ICE did the same thing to the family of the 68-year-old Mexican national who died in ICE custody just in May. His family only found out that he died while being transferred to the Stewart Detention Center in Georgia because the Mexican consulate contacted the family. Again, Isidro's death at the Crohn's facility makes this the 13th death so far this year. I mean, 13 deaths that we know of. Who knows how many more deaths are not being reported? And things are going to get worse with this new 3,000 people being detained a day quota, which is already making ICE have to operate at 140% above capacity. Now, the most deaths recorded in a single year was 28 under the George W. Bush administration. The way things are going, experts are saying that we're going to bypass that number, and who knows by how many. This is still a developing story, so I'll bring you information as it